Hey guys, AJ here. Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing good. In our previous video, we kind of started on with having stackable items in our inventory. So in this video, we are gonna move a little bit forward and uh, make the text appear in the inventory, and it is gonna refer to the number of items of that particular type in that inventory slot. So if we pick up two items of the same type which are stackable, it is just gonna add into the same inventory slot, and the number is going to get updated. And if we pick up a non-stackable item which still has a number on it, it is going to be updated in the UI in three different inventory slots. Like here we have a shield. So without further ado, let's get started. Oh, before that, I have just added a new scriptable object, health potion. So if you don't know how to create a scriptable object, go back and check out my video on making scriptable objects. And that's how we kind of made the blade and the shield. So if you have been watching the series on the inventory item pickup, everything, you should know this, and you already have a scriptable item. So just duplicate it. And for the health potion, I have checked the stackable, which is a field we have on the item script, to true. And I have also added a new sprite for the health potion, which is this image. Anyways, now without further ado, let's get started. First thing we gotta do is in the inventory item script, where we set the item up in the UI, we are gonna add two fields: game object text container, and we are just gonna set it to null. This is for the image on which the number of items is gonna be in, the one we set up in the previous video, and one for the text itself. So serialized field. And if you remember, we used a text mesh pro, so we gotta use text mesh pro UGUI. And for using that, we need to add a new header using text mesh pro, and let's call this item number and set it to null as well. And this get item method was just a method we used in the first few videos to get the item when we didn't have a inventory player inventory script. And now we are using the player inventory script for getting the item using the scriptable object. So we don't need this script, this method anymore. So let's delete this from here. And in the set item method, we are gonna add a new condition: if item number. So if we have a text mesh pro here, then we got a item number, and we are gonna check if number is less than or equal to 1, not the item number, the number. So when we set the item up, we are gonna need to add a new parameter, integer number. And here we are just gonna uh, hide the text container if the number is less than or equal to 1. Else we are gonna show the text container and update the item number as the number. So item number dot text equals number, and we need to convert it to string. and that's about it. So when we added a integer parameter in the set items method, it's created an error in the inventory slot script in setup, where we call the setup set items method. So I'm just going to give a default number 5 here, so that we can go to Unity and see if the inventory is loading up with inventory slots having the number 5 on it. uh, Back in Unity, in the prefabs folder, inventory slot, inventory item, we are gonna drag this image and paste it in, put it in the text container, and the text, I'm just gonna place in the item number fill, hit play, and hopefully we get a inventory with the item number 5 in each of the slots, and we do so. That's working. Now let's go back and edit rest of the script to uh, make the number in the inventory slots appear from the item pickups on the game scene. Now we are gonna need a method to get the number of items from the inventory, that is the player inventory. So here I'm just gonna say inventory dot get number in slot, and pass in the index. Now let's go create that method in the player inventory script. So here I'm gonna say public int get uh, number in slot, and this is gonna take a slot which is the index, and it's just gonna return slots of slot dot number, just like we did for getting the items in the previous video. Here we're just returning the number instead. Now if we have a stackable item in the inventory, and we find a new item of the same type, uh, we are not gonna wanna add it to a different slot. We are gonna just need to add it to the same slot, or just update the number that is showing in that slot. So for that, we are gonna go to the find slot method we have here, and instead of just returning find empty slot, we are gonna add some conditions here. Yeah, I'm gonna create a int I equal to find stack. So the stack is gonna be the slot where we already have the item. So this method is gonna return the slot where we have the same item, and we are gonna use that slot to add the items in there. And if there is no uh, item of the same type already in the inventory, we are gonna say we are gonna just do the return find empty slot thing we already have here. So if I is less than 0, we are gonna return the first empty slot that we find, else we are gonna return I. Now let's go ahead and make this method. And here it's gonna take the item. So we better pass it down from here. Here we are gonna check if the item is stackable or not. And if it is not stackable, we are gonna return a negative number so that we go find the empty slot that we wanna put the item in. Then we are gonna check. We're just gonna go through each of the slot and see if there is an item matching the item we passed down here. If object dot reference equals slots of I dot item and item. So in doing so, we are just comparing the items in each of the slots with the item we passed down here. And if we have found a item of the same type, we are gonna return I. Else we are gonna get out of this for loop and return -1 as a default value. So in the add to first empty slot method, we are already calling find slot, so we don't need to do anything here for now. But in the add item to slot method, we are going to need to compare the item with the items that we already have in the inventory. So here, after we call add to first empty slot method, and when it returns false, we are gonna say where I equal to find stack and pass in the item, and we are gonna check if I is greater than or equal to 0, and if it is greater than or equal to 0, we are gonna say we are just gonna change the slot where we put the item in to I, so slot equal to I. So now let's go back to Unity and check this out. Now back in Unity, I have added a few more pickups, the HP ones, and in this we have two HP portions. Here we have three, and here we have five. So let's go ahead, try to pick them up and see what happens. So I hope this is a HP portion, and if we pick this up, we are gonna get two health potions on our inventory. Now that's a health potion, and that's a health potion. Okay, so I don't think this is a health potion. So yeah, we got another health potion over here. So if we pick this up, go back to inventory, we can see that the number has changed to 7. Earlier it was 2. So now let's also go ahead and pick this one up. Now one thing that is not going to work here is if we have a number other than 1 on a non-stackable item, say blade over here, let's say make it 5, and if we run, we are not going to have 5 blades appear in our inventory. Let's just see what happens. Say we go ahead and grab this blade, it is still just gonna spawn one blade in our inventory. That's because of a little code we had in our pickup script where we check if the item is stackable or not, and if it is not stackable, we are setting the number of items to 1. So here's a extra thing that you might want to put in your game. You can just comment this line out or delete it entirely. And let's say we take in the number that is on the pickup. Then if it is an unstackable object, we are gonna say if there is 5 as a number on the item that we are picking up, we are gonna make the item appear in 5 different slots in the inventory. So let's try to do that. So we are gonna go to player inventory, and it's just a few lines of code, pretty simple actually. Here in add to first empty slot method, we are gonna have a condition here to check if the item is stackable or not. And if the item is stackable, we are gonna do this. Else, we are just gonna add 1 to that slot. And that should be slot of I dot number. And then here before returning true, we are gonna check if the number that we pass down to this method is greater than 1, and if the item is not stackable, then we are just gonna decrease the number by 1 and call in the same method again. So this is an example of recursion kind of, because we are calling the same method from itself until the number becomes 1. Now let's go check how this works out. So back in Unity, we go pick up that sword again, and let's open up the inventory just to show that there's nothing in the inventory right now. And if we pick the sword up, we got 5 different slots filled with sword. Now, one problem we still have is when we try to drop these items, stackable items, back onto the scene, it's just dropping one at a time instead of the complete stack. So that is because of this line of code here where we return 1 on get number. This is getting called. This method is getting called when we try to remove items from our inventory. So instead of 1, we are gonna just use the method we just made here, get number in slot in the inventory, and pass in the index. So we just need to paste it here, get back to Unity and see if that works out. Now back in Unity, let's say we try to drop this item which has 7 health potions and it's gone. So here it has spawned on the game scene, and if we pick this up, it is going to be not just one health potion, it is going to be the whole stack of 7 health potions. So let's just try to pick that up, and yeah, tada, we got the whole stack getting displayed on our inventory slot here. Now I am just gonna duplicate this health potion which we have as a scriptable object, and let's say we make one more stackable item. Uh, let's just call it chicken leg, and I kind of made a sprite for the chicken leg over here. Yeah, there it is. So I'm just gonna change the sprite here and maybe the display name as well to chicken leg, and let's say we just duplicate this HP, name it chicken leg, and replace the item with the scriptable object for the chicken leg, and let the number just remain as 5. I'm just going to duplicate it once more, change the number to say 12, and hit play. This is just so we can see if uh, it works when we swap two stackable items with each other. So if we let's go ahead and pick this up. Yeah, that's our first chicken leg with 5 items, and that's our second. Now let's go try picking up anything else. So if we try to move this onto a different slot, that's working. So we are pretty cool on that. And if we try to swap a stackable item and a non-stackable item, that works as well. Now all we need to do is check if we are able to swap two stackable items. I think this one is a health potion. Yeah, and it is. So if we try to swap these items, and yeah, it works. So everything works fine for now. And I think that's pretty much it for working on our inventory. Yeah, and if we just drop this onto the scene, we can see a treasure chest just spawned over here. And if we pick it up, it has 17. So we are good. And in the next video, we are going to be working on making the character equip these shield and blades. So that's going to be a lot of fun. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And hopefully see you in the next video. Also, go ahead and give me a subscribe. That would be really helpful. Until next time, see ya, bye.